Assalamualaikum again. First and foremost, I would like to extend my grateful to President BIM, Architect Abu Zarim Abu Bakar, respected guest of keynote speaker, Madam Elina Jani, Director of Business Development and Marketing for Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center, esteemed panelists, representative of different youth bodies and also different universities, BI members and audience. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to our Youth Sustainability Leadership webinar, proudly brought to you by Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia, BIM. I am Dr. Ros Azrin Abdullah, Youth EXCO Committee of BIM and also Senior Lecturer at University of Malaya. And I will be the moderator for today. Our goal today is that wherever your role is in the community, that you will come away with something, a better understanding, a bright idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy. So today, our forum will be talking about the role of youth, leader of tomorrow, and their involvement in the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Architect Abu Zari Abu Bakar, our President Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia, to give an opening speech. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Architect Abu Zarim to give a speech.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Architect Abu Zarim.
Okay. First and foremost, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everybody else. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Balai Ikhtisas, especially the moderator, Dr. Rosalind, for organizing this event. This is something that is very useful and in the heart of many of our leaders in Balai Ikhtisas. This event, Youth Sustainability Leadership webinar, is also co-hosted by Science in Environmental Management, SPAS, Club from University Malaysia. Okay, and with that, I thank them also for co-organizing or co-collaborating with us. Welcome also to our keynote speaker, Madam Elina Jani. Okay, we met somewhere before, and I'm sure we'll meet again somewhere in the future. And this is one of the beautiful things about getting to know people and meeting people, is that you get to know them and they will hopefully contribute more in future. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank and welcome to all our panelists. We have 6 speakers from the local universities who are actually leaders in their own right. You know, they are current leaders at the moment of the youth community, and they will be future leaders of tomorrow's. Okay, each one after moving on from their when they graduate and they move on to the working life, they will find their footings in the community. And I hope as well that they will also contribute to the community and not just only limit themselves to the universities. So this is the hope. I don't mind telling you, some 40 years ago, I was also in the same position. And, you know, 40 years later, here I am, you know, trying to contribute back to the community as much as I can and whenever that I can. I like to just quickly mention who they are. Okay, there's Jia Shin, you know, from University of Malaya. Hello there. We have Tan Qiyang, also from UM. We have 2 UM. I suppose that's why you get to become collaborators. You get the extra age, I suppose. Good. And we have Mohammad Hafiz from PERMATANI, UPM. Welcome. And we have also IZ Wilfred from PERCA, Civil Engineering Club from UTM, and Harivallagan Siva from UKM, and not forgetting, we have Nabila Mohammad Khalid, also a final year students from USM. Okay, I hope you are here, not stuck in Penang. That's the beautiful part about webinars. You know, you can be anywhere and still be able to present whatever your thoughts and your opinions. Okay, a little bit about Balai Ikhtisas. Okay, we are an umbrella body for almost approximately 20 member institutions, which cover 4 sectors, and we have medical, we have in the construction industry, PAM, LAM, ILAM, okay, we have from social science, we have, you know, too many to talk about today. And if you do visit our website, you can see who our members are. And together with all the 20, we have over 50,000 membership. Okay, so we are quite a force to be reckoned with when it comes to government agencies and ministries. I hope they keep in mind us whenever they want to, come on various current issues. Okay, and what do we do? Okay, we do a lot of stuff. Okay, we tackle a lot of things that are close to professionals, which all of you are going to be one day and very soon. Some of you may just become, you know, right after your graduation. We talk about sustainability, we talk about current issues, we talk about pandemic, we talk a lot of things. Unfortunately, last year when pandemic came around, okay, for almost a year, we couldn't have any physical events carrying on. But luckily, we got over it quite fast, and we had a few, 1 or 2 physical, and also several webinars. For this year, 2021, we will do the same, and mainly aim at webinars. What do we have? What are the current events that we have at the moment? You know, very soon, I think this coming weekend, we will have an entrepreneur workshop. Okay, for you guys who are about to leave this one, you might want to join us on this, and it's very affordable. For a 2 weekends, 4 days event, you can't get this kind of pricing. The first session is free. Do visit our site, okay, and register at least for the first one. Okay, you know that at the end of the day, okay, I would like to see all of you together with the participants, you know, don't forget to join your individual professional bodies, at least as students, because that's where that also will be your starting or jumping platform to what you're going to do in future. Okay, they have many events. All of them have events for students, for student members. Okay, and if you are still not, if you already graduate, I'm sure they also have graduate membership down there. Unfortunately, we do not have at Balai Ikhtisas, we do not have a student membership, but we do take them as student members from individual professional. Okay, I think that today you're going to have a lot of talk about various issues. Okay, don't forget, you know, together with this sustainability issues, one more thing that will follow up is also resilience. Resilient means what you need to come, how do you overcome, and how do you keep that sustainability going. That is resilient. Okay. Now, quickly talking about pandemic, how pandemic is affecting us today. It also has to do with sustainability, because when you see, the pandemic has forced us to look at things differently, forced us to work differently, to change our way, to change our habits. Previously only robbers and thieves and the bad people, okay, wear masks. Now we join them. Everybody now wearing masks. Good thing is that we're on webinar, so we don't see anybody wearing masks. Okay, so I like to end this welcoming speech by with you, the future leaders of tomorrow. You are now the current bridge between the youth and our current leaders. Yeah, do play your role well. Okay, and with that, I would like to end my speech. Good luck to everybody. Stay home, stay safe. Most and foremost, enjoy yourself in this webinar. So with that, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and do enjoy the rest of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Architect Abu Zarim, President of Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia, for the opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, now we're moving on. We have keynote remarks which will be delivered by Madam Edina Jani. Before I hand over the session to Madam Edina, allow me to read and brief Madam Edina's CV. Madam Edina Jani is currently the Director for Business Development in Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Centre, MGTC, executing company strategies aimed at inculcating green mindsets, development of green technologies for adoption and development, inspiring the green economy for Malaysia. With regards to her achievement in the sector, she has been leading the development and implementation of communication, branding, and promotion strategies to build the value proposition of Greentech Malaysia, the nation of Malaysia, in order to build stakeholder buy-in and commitment to green technology initiative for the past 5 years. Madam Edina has delivered more than 15 billion worth of potential investment for Malaysian green technology sectors from 2016 to 2018 from various projects in renewable energy, energy efficiency, green building, low carbon mobility, waste, sustainable water, and sustainable manufacturing of green products. She has personally engaged and nurtured hundreds of companies in the green technology sectors and involved in changing the mindset of hundreds more companies originally not in the green space to pursue sustainability for the future. In addition to that, Madam Edina has been directly involved in human capital development training program for the green technology sector, which has produced over 600 participants from the existing workforce and 300 youth through the Human Capital Development Program for the school and university all over Malaysia. Madam Edina graduated with the Bachelor of Science Microbiology and a Master in Biotechnology by Process Engineering from University Malaya. So, okay, dear participant, you also if you have any question to our speaker, Madam Edina, you may use the chat room. After the presentation, Madam Edina will answer your question after that. So, without further ado, I would like to call Madam Edina for her keynote talks. Madam.
Okay, right. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. First of all, just to get over the salutations. That was quite a mouthful, Dr. Razlin, for my CV. Yeah, I didn't expect
CV actually.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so first of all, thank you very much to Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia and also Dr. Azlin from University Malaya for inviting Greentech Malaysia to be the keynote speaker for this morning. I would also like to thank Architect Abu Bakar. Yes, we have met before, but I can't recall where. But yeah, in this day and age, I think we should meet again to sort of discuss again what we can collaborate on. Very exciting to learn about BIM's 50,000 members, and definitely you are forced to be reckoned with, and we should engage you for our government stakeholder engagement. Furthermore, I would like to also extend my good morning and greetings to the 6 panelists, our youth speakers, Eng Jia-yin from UM, Tan Qiyang also from UM. So yes, I'm also, UM is my alma mater, so I'm very glad to see the 2 of you here. Mohammad Hafiz from UPM, Izzas Wilfred from UTM, Harival from UKM, and also Nabila Khalid from USM. So thank you very much to the the panel speakers that we will have later, and I'm very excited to hear their presentations later. So just as a brief introduction before I open up my slides, I would like to agree with what Architect Abu Zarim said in his opening speech earlier, that in this pandemic, COVID-19, that the occurrences that are happening globally, it is very important for us, and especially governments from all over the world, that in the race to revive or to sustain business recovery or economic recovery, it is also very important to have environmental recovery at the back of everyone's minds. So that's why sustainability is a very important topic, and this is something that everyone should always be mindful of. So 2 recent occurrences that happened in 2020 last year, the European Union, as a group of countries in Europe, they came together to raise about euro 800 to 900 billion in debt financing among the European countries to focus on 2 things. Green economy, and then as well as digital technologies. So for the youth and the participants that we have today, I see that there's a lot of participants from the Ministry of Health. Thank you very much for the support for the seminar today. From Klinik Kesihatan, there's also a rep from Institute Jantung Negara. Besides the professionals from IEM, Jabatan Kimia Malaysia, I think the Malaysian Pharmaceutical Services, and many others. And there's even a rep from TNBR. So thank you very much for supporting this initiative. So when the participants from the universities today, the university students, the way forward is definitely green economy and also digital technologies. This is one of the major occurrences that happened in 2020. The second occurrence that happened in April of 2020 was the message during the World Earth Day last year on April 22nd by the Chief Secretary of the United Nations. Antonio Gutierrez mentioned that in the race for governments to disburse post-COVID-19 financing for business recovery, economic recovery and all that, there is also that urgency for environmental recovery. What this COVID-19 has taught us that, you know, human beings have been pillaging the forest, disrupting biodiversity, taking the rare species and, you know, consuming it in markets and all that. So the recent, and within the past 10 years, there's been more pandemics. It's just that this COVID-19 has been very prominent and significant throughout the world. It shows that the pandemics are becoming more and more frequent because of what human beings do, our activities. So just, although it's a morbid note, but just wanted to highlight the recent occurrences globally that's happening with regards to COVID-19. So if you would allow me to share my screen, I am not able to share my screen. If Zami or Dr. Azlin can help to share my slides. Sorry, I just noticed. Dr. Azlin, Zami is here.
Can you try to share again?
Share again. Okay, hold on. Share. Okay. Yes, I'm able to share. Okay, so everyone can see my slide, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, let me just open up to the presentation mode and minimize this. Okay, right. Okay, so this will be my slides for today. I will try to keep it down under 25 minutes. And then after that, some time for some Q&A later, yeah? So for the Youth Sustainability Leadership Seminar, So the government of Malaysia is among the 119 countries that participated in the Paris Agreement in 2015. Although United States went out from the Paris Agreement, but with the recent initiatives from Joe Biden, United States are looking back to join the Paris Agreement, the United Nations Climate Change Conference. So we call it the Conference of Parties, and the commitment from the government of Malaysia, this percentage should be in the mind of all the leaders in Malaysia, and of course the youth, because this planet will be inherited by the youth, and this is our responsibility, not only the older generation but also the younger generation, to actually come together and hold this pillar to our hearts. So the government of Malaysia's commitment is 45% reduction in carbon emission intensity for our GDP. So Malaysia and Singapore are the only two ASEAN member countries that calculate our 45% reduction for carbon emissions per GDP. The other ASEAN countries so far, as what we could recall, they are only pledging percentage of carbon emission reduction intensity, and they're not doing it against their GDP lah. So green industries is the new frontier of growth. This is the mantra that we tell the 22 sectors that we engage in Malaysia, be it the healthcare and pharmaceutical sector, energy sector, building, transport, waste, water, and also manufacturing sectors and many other sectors. So green should be the pillar of the business plans and also companies' forecasts and also business operations. So just a little bit of introduction about Greentech Malaysia. Greentech Malaysia, we are under the purview of Mestech previously, but now we are under the purview of Ministry of Environment and Water, CASA. We are a company limited by guarantee, and we are the lead implementing agency to drive the Malaysia and Malaysian industries on green growth and climate change. So just to show a little bit, this picture below here that you can see here, this is our office in Section 9, Bandar Baru Bangi. We are always open to student visits, professional associations, and then also many other organizations. We've received chief of states from other countries that has also come to our building. The reason why the building is so interesting is that, just a little bit of history here. Oh, I don't know how to move this up. Oh, maybe I can. Sorry, yeah. Let me just hide this. Okay, this is better. Okay, right. So just a little bit of history. The Greentech Malaysia has been established from 1998 as Pusat Tenaga Malaysia, or Center of Energy Malaysia. This was the vision of Tun Dr. Mahathir in 1998, that Malaysia should already be looking at renewable energy in that point in time. And the Pusat Tenaga Malaysia, or the Center of Energy Malaysia, must be housed in the first green building in Malaysia. So our building, which we call the Green Energy Office Building, the GEO building, is the first green building in Malaysia. So this is why, you know, it's a heritage building, I guess, and it's open to visits from everyone, from the industries and also even public. So from 1998 to 2009, we were working a lot with United Nations to establish the photovoltaic framework for the solar industry, energy efficiency, and biogeneration. So there's a lot of paperwork and framework that we have done. But when the National Green Technology Policy came out in 2009, we were then rebranded to become Malaysian Green Technology Corporation. The idea was that MGTC, for short, to look at ourselves as industry developers. So this is where we started to really look at the problems of climate change mitigation in Malaysia. And the first area that we identified was for the cities. That's why we established the Low Carbon Cities Framework, the LCCF, in 2011. And we launched a green directory called My Hijau. My Hijau directory is the directory of green products. And then also we did a lot of blueprints for government ministries and agencies, state governments, and even government-linked companies like TMB and UEM. And then last but not least, in 2017, we launched the Green Technology Master Plan that has clear guidelines and sectoral targets that we need to do between 2017 to 2030. So this is basically some of the history. Not going to dwell on that a lot more. In 2019, another rebranding exercise happened for us. Yeah, this was the previous government, but it happened in 2019. So we had the Greentech as a company, we got rebranded to become the Climate Change Center because the climate change has become a mainstream agenda for the government of Malaysia, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. So that's where the goals for our renewable energy was increased, investments should increase, and we should also look into increase in green tech products exports across the nation and of course the region. So this was the exercise that happened, the scope of expansion. So what does this mean when we become the Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Center? Previously, we were looking a lot at the climate change. We looked at the mitigation part. So the mitigation part was looking at what human activities that we have, and then after that, what kind of mitigation exercises that we can do. But with the change to the Climate Change Center as well, we are now guided by an additional policy. We used to have the National Green Technology Policy that I mentioned earlier. Now we have to be guided also by the Dasar Perubahan Iklim Negara, the National Policy on Climate Change, and also our Green Technology Master Plan that was there, and the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030. So we are guided by all this to look into not only the mitigation side, but also adaptation side of climate change. So what are the strategies? We were guided by the previous strategies under the mitigation to get people to adopt and deploy green technologies, to look into better land use, and also the sectors that we are overlooking, the energy, manufacturing, transport, building, waste, and water sector, and what are the initiatives that we can do for green. But we can also look at the downstream or projects implementation for adaptation as well. So we can look at projects that are involved in water and coastal resources, food security and agriculture, forestry, biodiversity, infra, energy, and public health. So that's why moving forward, we have a lot more engagement with KKM, Ministry of Health, Klinik Kesihatan, public hospitals in Malaysia, and then also we have the private hospitals as well. So these are the items that we are looking at. Okay, so just to look into deeper the 16 sectors that we are looking at in terms of industry, we are looking at the energy sector, we are looking at the generation and also supply side, electricity generation and energy efficiency. Manufacturing, we look at industrial efficiency. Transport, we look at the modalities of promoting public transport, private transportation, and also biodiesel and biofuel. For green buildings, we are looking at green building design, sustainable construction practices, and even green building materials. For the waste sector, we look at waste treatment and disposal and resource recovery. And then for the water sector, we look at upstream, midstream, and downstream of the water sector. So this is where the 16 subtext sectors, not only it has the highest greenhouse gas emissions in Malaysia, but also the positive side, it has the highest potential for green investments and green growth. So that's why the pros and cons of these sectors is what prompts us to actually look at it and also enhance sustainability for these sectors. The arrow that goes around the 6 sectors that we overlook here are the roles of Greentech Malaysia. So we do promotion and awareness, for example, like seminars like this. We create incentives for market enablers. We do training for human capital development. We work with universities for R&D and C, and we provide input to the ministry, the government ministry, for institutional framework and policy. So these are the key national targets for 2030. For the youth here, it will be good for you to know this target. So when you go out and get your own, jobs and employment and all that, you have it embedded in yourself, these national targets and what will be our country's contribution to the planet. So it will always be good to know your role in this space. So definitely for the green growth, we are looking at coupling businesses as well as sustainability. So looking at the green economy to contribute a percentage to the national GDP. So this is amounting to about 1.5%, looking at about 94 billion in investments, green jobs. There's a lot of green jobs out there in these sectors that we're talking about. So for the youth here, there's always job opportunities that's going into this because green is now considered one of the few sexy sectors to get into. And then of course, if we were not doing anything, this would probably be what will be the business as usual targets below here. In terms of climate change mitigation, we're looking at the 45%, 35% on unconditional basis, and a further percent condition upon receipt that we get any support in terms of finance, technology transfer, and capacity building from developed countries. So 35% kita kena buat sendiri. We have to do it ourselves. But 10% is conditional if we get more support from international, for example, like United Nations, OECD, and many other international organizations, we would then be able to achieve that 45%. Other than that, these are the incentives that we give in terms of businesses. We provide green incentives and certification, we provide advisory and capacity building, and also we provide the platform for promotion of these investments. Okay, so I know I'm going very fast, but if you have any questions, you can just put it into the chat and I'll try to answer your questions after this. And also my slides, I think the Secretariat will also share to everyone if you would like to have a look at it. So where would we be if we don't show our achievement and our impact? So I'm noticing there's a lot of engineering students here as well. We have a lot of engineers in our organization as well. So how we function differently is that every time we do an initiative, we will measure the impact, we will measure the carbon emission. So that's where you see the significance or the outcomes of the initiatives that we do. So for example, like our financing schemes, we financed over 300 projects with billions in terms of financing raised. We've provided investment tax allowance and income tax exemptions to more than 400 projects. Under the government ministries, they've also procured green products up to 1.144 billion ringgit already. So when you look at government ministries were the first prime movers that bought green products and services in Malaysia, and this amounted to about 7.8 billion, our target in terms of investments and contribution to our GDP. In terms of promotions, we've already garnered more than 32 billion in terms of business leads. Under our low carbon cities, we've already got 62 local authorities or Majlis Perbandaran that have joined our low carbon cities challenge for 2030. For charging stations and electric mobility in Malaysia, we've already installed over 300 public chargers. We all have over 7,000 products under our My Hijau directory. We've trained over 1,500 energy managers, and we've audited more than 227 organizations in Malaysia in terms of energy efficiency and energy management. So we have these targets for 2021, huge targets. We need the help from BEAM and all the professional associations and members to help us to achieve the targets, besides our other stakeholders, and also the youth to even contribute and help us in this drive. For 24,000 kiloton CO2 equivalent for carbon reduction, and to create more jobs in the green space and sector. So MGTC is in the business of helping other businesses and government ministries and Majlis Perbandaran and local state authorities to increase resource efficiency, reduce impact on the environment, the carbon footprint, and of course reduce contribution to climate change. So this is the mandate that we have based on that 45% greenhouse gas emissions reduction. How many jobs that we need to create by 2030, number of billions in terms of green investments, number of green products that we need to churn out, and the contribution to the GDP. So for the youth here that's participating in the seminar today, if you have entrepreneurship spirit, this is something that is a major role that we're looking at. There's a very high number of unemployment out there. A lot of the youth are really interested in the gig economy. If you're planning to open up a business or to manufacture or do your own product or offer your own service, be sure to consider green products or also green services. This is the major role of youth, because we see a lot of the youth, the millennials and the Gen Zs are all into this gig economy, right? So this is something that, at the back of your minds, it doesn't matter what product that you want to do, tudung or, any other green product, but your product should be greener. This is where we want to call upon more green entrepreneurs. And how do we achieve these targets? We need to look at kecekapan tenaga, energy efficiency, renewable energy, vehicles. We can look at hybrid and electric vehicles, promoting public transport. I am glad that a lot of youth are, not really into vehicles, but more into public transport and active mobility, waste minimization, and also waste recycling. So these, you just need to curve your head a little bit. These are the stakeholders that we provide our services to: the federal government, the state government, local authority, Majlis Perbandaran, community, services sector, manufacturing sector, construction sector, mining and quarry, and agriculture sector. And these are the services that we provide: advisory and consultancy, financing and incentives for market enablers, promoting strategic investments, low carbon solutions for industries and also the stakeholders that we engage, new energy, forms of alternative energy to our current coal and fossil fuel, and also innovations, capacity building. We also provide recognition for the green products and services, and also awareness and promotion. Okay, so potential areas to collaborate. Recently, we've also engaged with Bursa Malaysia. Bursa has made it compulsory for all public listed companies. There's 919 public listed companies in Malaysia to submit the sustainability reporting to Bursa. So this is where part of the environmental social governance, we want to also provide our role to become the verifier and also help these big public listed companies to focus also on environmental and sustainability as part of their business reporting. Furthermore, these are some of the success stories that we have done for our advisory and consultancy. We are previously working under Kementerian Tenaga Teknologi Hijau and Air, KETA. We helped them in terms of the grid electricity emission factors. We provide the biannual update report to United Nations framework for climate change convention. We also provide greenhouse gas baseline assessment for PLAS Berhad previously, and we were also the first SEA Games that was green in 2017. So we did the greenhouse gas assessment for the SEA Games in 2017 in Kuala Lumpur. Other than that, potential areas of collaboration number 2, green procurement. So this is where we've done well with the federal government ministries. They've purchased over 1 billion in terms of green products and services, but now we're going into private green procurement. How the 919 listed companies can buy green products and green services, but as well as rolling it out to SMEs and then also startup companies and all that. Greenhouse gas emissions, we've done it before for these organizations, and we adhere to the greenhouse gas protocol. So why do we promote green procurement to the government ministries and also to the, private companies? It is part of sustainable goal number 12. So the role of youth in terms of SDG, right? If you look at sustainable goal number 12, every one of us are consumers. To a certain extent, we are also, every one of us are producers because we produce waste. So this is where, how you can play your role. As consumer, you look to buy green products and services. You can tell your parents, urge your community to look into this, your universities, for example, and also your student bodies. So this is something where we've started the consumption from the government ministry's perspective. We roll out the Garis Panduan Perolehan Kerajaan, Perolehan Hijau Kerajaan, the government green procurement under the 11th Malaysia Plan. So every time they want to buy, instead of buying plastic mineral bottles, they want to buy glass bottles or co-way dispensers, or they want to buy like packaging that is biodegradable. Then they look into getting the quotations from the My Hijau directory. This is what we have done from the consumer perspective. From the producer perspective, hey, every manufacturer, every producer, every service provider, if you're a green architect or you're a GBI consultant or you are a ESCO company, energy service company and all that, come and register under our My Hijau. You need, for products, you need to get certifications lah. You need to get from SIRIM, from Surajaya Tenaga, from SPAN for water products and all that. Get your certification and register under our My Hijau. So then you are recognized as a green producer and service provider, and gives the comfort and assurance to the buyers that you are certified. So this is the link that we do between buyers and producers. And then for the producers, we give them pengecualian cukai lah, income tax exemption. For the buyers that are from the private sector, anybody that's paying corporate tax, if you buy asset and equipment under My Hijau, you will get investment tax allowance. So these are the incentives that we provide lah. So My Hijau was launched by the government in 2015 to recognize green products and to provide that comfort and assurance to consumers and buyers. So why don't we certify the green products? Maybe that's one of the questions that you are thinking, right? We don't believe in increasing carbon footprint. We have over thousands of laboratories, government laboratories in the country, right? We've got SIRIM, we've got ST, we've got MARDI, we've got Rubber Board, so many certification bodies in Malaysia. We leverage on all our partners. The laboratories, they provide the certification, we recognize their certification, and then we include them in this green directory of products. You can always Google it at www.myhijau.my, or you can also download it on Google and App Store. There's an app for it. Okay, so potential areas of collaboration number 3, we have community programs. So for the everyone who are religious, or you get a part into your religious communities, respective communities, we are looking to make the houses of worship in Malaysia also green. churches, mosques, temples, and all that. We call for the, all these organizations and all these building owners to come to us to be part of our program. Because when we did a baseline assessment of the various types of buildings in Malaysia, universities popped up as one of the kind of buildings that generates or consume a lot of electricity. Hospitals is also one of them, but also houses of worship. So we've gotten like, mosques that generate or consume 60,000 ringgit in terms of electricity bill every month. So this is where we want to collaborate and also support this initiative to be more energy efficient. So we've got RHB Islamic, that's our minister and our CEO there, and our KSU that rolled out this program under Rumah Ibadat Hijau or Green Mosque. We also have a graduate program. So Green Entrepreneurship Graduate Program called Jago. This is where this program is tailored to suit the industries within the green technology sector. But we also want to get, the unemployed, the youth and the graduates and all that to be part of this green community program that we have. So we've got this urban poor and livelihood programs. We've got, mainstreaming green lifestyle and green technology, urban farming and what have you. Okay. So under the low carbon cities, also under the community topic, okay, I've gotten not so much slides. I'll just finish it up quickly. For the low carbon cities 2030 challenge, since we have the targets for 2030, we make a challenge. The challenge is for all the Majlis Perbandaran. We have 154 local cities in Malaysia to come on board. See how the cities can reduce your carbon emissions, because cities are responsible for over 70% of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. And in 2030, it is expected that 70% of the population also will live in cities. So that's why cities' contribution is very important. And this is where we want to establish these low carbon zones and have more low carbon partners in our program. So what can the cities do? This is what the cities do under the program. They can look at energy. So for example, the state governments, they have the SUK buildings, Setiausaha Negeri, Setiausaha Kerajaan Negeri buildings. They can go into energy management, they can go for green building certifications and energy efficiency, and then basically look into the programs under energy that they can come on board for the energy element. Net energy metering, LSS program, feed-in tariff program dan sebagainya. Under the mobility program, we are looking at electric buses, electric vehicles, mobility programs, public transport, last mile connectivity. So this is where, for example, Cyberjaya, they establish all the cycling lanes to promote cycling in Cyberjaya. So this is their plan for their Majlis Perbandaran. Under the waste sector, definitely zero single-use plastic. We are also having the circular economy roadmap, and we have a collaboration with the UK government for the Malaysia plastic pack. So this is where looking at the waste that's coming from the cities. For water, we're promoting townships and developers to look into rainwater harvesting. Even for the adults here who have your own homes, you can also look to establish your own rainwater harvesting at your own homes. And water efficient products and equipments. So we have like SPAN, Suruhanjaya Pengurusan Air Negara, they certify water efficient products. And of course, for the environment and greenery, we promote tree planting. So do plant a tree if you can, and take care of that tree, not just plant it and leave it. But these are the 5 elements that cities can do. And at the bottom there is where the incentives that we provide and the promotion that we provide for the cities also to highlight what they're doing in the cities. I give an example. For those who are living in Shah Alam, did you know that Section 14 Shah Alam has been gazetted as a low carbon zone by the Majlis Bandaraya Shah Alam? So what they did was they did apply for the greenery element. Taman Tasik Shah Alam is going for this carbon sequestration value. Some individual buildings that are owned by the state government and also the local state authority, they applied for the energy and waste certifications. And they've started the Smart Selangor buses. Some of the Rapid KL buses, they have electric bus routes to service the Section 14. So Shah Alam is one of the biggest Majlis Perbandaran in Malaysia. Due to their size, they just determined to start with a pilot program with the acreage of Section 14 Shah Alam. So potential collaboration number 4 that we're looking at is definitely the capacity building programs that we do. For the youth here, you are always welcome to join us for our training programs. If say, for example, you are an engineer, when you have an energy management certification, people will look at you differently. people will see that, wow, you've taken the initiative to go for your own certifications in this respective space, and you can offer your value in terms of green, and also you have the know-how for energy efficiency and energy management. So for our energy manager training, we accept bachelor's degree from any background. We've got people from finance, from accounts, social sciences, science graduates, not just engineering. But if you want to go for our energy audit program, you have to have a bachelor's of degree in engineering. So these are some of the programs that we have. You can go to our website, mgtc.gov.my for more details. I want to call for people to join us in our virtual event. We're starting our virtual event in July. iGEM 2021, the International Greentech and Eco Products Exhibition and Conference. Last year, we had 82 countries that participated in our virtual event. And we had over 3.4 billion ringgit in terms of business leads that we managed to generate, and over 50,000 visitors. So this is where the theme this year, we're looking to redefine sustainability. How do we be sustainable in this new age, in this new norm, in the pandemic of COVID-19 and all that. So sorry, it's not too clear there. You can always go to www.igem.my to register. And these are the number of targets that we plan to have. We're going to have over 300 booths, over 30,000 visitors from 50 countries, and this is the business leads that we're looking at. Last segment. Sorry, Dr. Azlina, last segment. So our geo building, just wanted to highlight about things that we do at our building that you guys can do at your own home, your own university, your own dorms, and also your own companies and offices. So Greentech Malaysia, we are here at the Geo building, the Green Energy Office building. How we design this building is first we look at an low electricity demand design. Don't start with, oh, I want to have solar in my building, or I want to have solar in my house or whatever. You look at your demand first. It's kind of like, you know, when you're cooking rice, right? You're cooking for 4 people. You don't cook like, you know, 8 pots of rice, right? I'm a mom, so that's how I relate. But you look at the low electricity demand design, and then if you need excess energy, then you look at solar and photovoltaic, building integrated photovoltaic, that's what we call it, but not at the expense of user comfort, health and safety. Because sometimes when you visit, I'm sure some of you have visited green buildings in Malaysia, sometimes you find that green buildings are very hot because they try to be so energy efficient. They reduce they increase the temperature of their air conditioners and all that without the, thinking about the user comfort. But actually it can be achieved. You can always come to our building to visit. So we've been winners at the ASEAN Energy Awards for many years already, 2009. We just won last year. We are at Section 9, Bandar Baru Bangi. We finished our construction in 2007, built up area of about 4,200 square meter. We share our land with LHDN. LHDN has the data center next to us. We have an integrated of 142 kilowatt peak of solar panels at our building. We are the first in Malaysia to establish a floor slab cooling system. If you are architect students or engineering students, maybe you are familiar with this. And our electricity bill is only about 5,000 ringgit to 7,000 ringgit a month for this 4-story building, 4,200 square meter. So this is where I show you our dashboard. This is an old dashboard. We like to compare the, numbers when we are full in office. So this was the number just before PKP1 last year. So in February 2020, we only paid to TMB about 4,500 ringgit. Comparable to another, so we had a visit from Pharmaniaga. Before that, they have a facility that's about the same size as us. Typically, they pay 40,000 ringgit a month to TMB. So our energy consumption is very low, but partly also because we had our solar panels. Our water consumption is about 1,100 ringgit that we pay to ICE, Syarikat ICE Langor. And then comparing to a 2-hectare land, typically people would spend about 4,000 ringgit lah. And then after that, basically we look at our building energy index is only 25 compared to other conventional buildings, which is about 220. So we equivalent to 18,000 trees that we save. Our energy efficient and management and consumption and all that. And comparing the reduction to other buildings, we've managed to reduce 84% compared to a normal building. And we reduced for the month of February alone, 551 tons of CO2 equivalent reduction. So I think this is my last slide. So yes, that's my contact details, and yeah, I welcome any Q&A from this presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Elina, for very interesting and informative talk. Very up to date for me. Very up to date information. Very interesting. So now we would like to move on to the Q&A session. So we check to our chat box. We have a question from Harival, PMFST. What are the criteria for one building to be considered as a green building?
Okay, all right. So that's a very good question, Harival. Thank you very much. So there's several green building certifications in Malaysia. The top one is Green Building Index, GBI. We also have the Building Energy Index that's offered by Suruhanjaya Tenaga. We have MyCREST that's offered by JKR and CIDB. We also have our own, we call it our Energy Management Gold Standard. And then we also have from others, for example, like Green RE, by REHDA for property developers. So different certifications look at different criteria. But for example, the most comprehensive that we see, not promoting GBI in any way, but the most comprehensive that we've seen under the Green Building Index, they have these calculations that they look at your energy consumption and management. So they will look at kecekapan tenaga or energy efficiency. They will look at your, how do you dispose your waste, or maybe you recover your waste. And then after that, they will look at your water management. Are you efficient in terms of your water management? They will look at your green building design. When it's a new building, they even look into the construction practices and also the building materials. If it's an existing old building, they will just look at the design and whether or not it champions green building. And then after that, they also look at environment, the greenery. What kind of landscape that you have, you ratio land to building, it's properly managed. So these are some of the criteria that they'll be looking at. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for the answer. So from Wipin, how one industry can implement carbon offsets and any relevant inventive scheme, in particular for private SME?
Yeah, okay. So very good question from Wipin. Okay, so currently in Malaysia, globally, they have this carbon trading, carbon credits, carbon rebates, and carbon offset programs. The various governments, for example, like Singapore, I think they have it, Sweden has it. So they do this program that they can get value for the carbon offset and mitigation exercises that they do. Currently in Malaysia, we don't have this sort of incentive for carbon trading or carbon offset. But basically, what we do is we provide through the incentives that we have. So we have this investment tax allowance. So for example, like I just give a ballpark figure. Say for example, the company invests 3 million ringgit in upgrading their boilers, their compressors, their air conditioners, and all their electrical equipment and asset. They convert into energy efficient equipment, for example. When they file for their corporate tax to LHDN, our Indian Revenue Board, they can get allowances. So for example, say for the example that year, they have to pay 7 million in terms of corporate tax. The 3 million that they invested into the green building asset and equipment, they can get some offsets from there. So allowances, we call it. Other than that, for the companies that are producers or service providers, they can get they can get income tax exemption. So basically, their M&A, their business activity is towards green, and then they file it to SSM to incorporate the company, and then they can apply for the green income tax exemption as well. So these are currently the offset programs that we have, but we plan to be able to come up with a better, carbon offset that mirrors other countries. Yeah, thank you.
I think I will take last question from the Tan Qiyang. Then another question, I hope that Madam Elina can answer in the box chat. So according to Tan Qiyang, his question is, will future hospital be built in a green manner? Referring to the MGTC job boarding, the discussion and planning for this one?
Okay, all right. So very good question, Tan Qiyang. And I'm noticing there's a lot of Ministry of Health or hospital representatives here today, okay? So Ministry of Health in Malaysia, they have been the most prominent government ministry that is actually pushing for green initiatives. So globally in the healthcare industry, they call it now ethical healthcare. So ethical healthcare means that not only your products, your drugs, your vaccines, your medical devices and all that should be ethical. Your services must be ethical. So doctors prescribe proper medication after diagnosis and all that lah. So not only your products and your services are ethical, but your building should be ethical as well. Ethical in a sense that you're familiar with nosocomial infections, right? That happen in hospitals, you know, people coughing and then they touch a doorknob and then it could be transmitted to somebody else that touches the doorknob, right? So from shower heads, from, you know, the air vents and air ducts and all that, you know, we've seen bacteria and viruses could spread through that. So basically the building environment must be ethical as well. So this was a movement that was done globally for the healthcare industry. So for Kementerian Kesihatan, Ministry of Health, what they have done, for the 150 public hospitals in Malaysia, they have gotten the participation from the hospitals as well as the concession companies, Redicare, UEM Agenta, and also Medivest, to focus on energy management and energy efficiency. So that was the first target that Ministry of Health did. So basically now we have over 200 public and private hospitals in Malaysia that have already achieved 1-star, 2-star, and also 3-star energy management gold standard. So basically, another initiative that MOH does is that for future hospitals that's being built by Ministry of Health, they must be green buildings. So this is where it's very heartening for us to see, like, you know, they really invested their belief in sustainability. So for example, like Hospital Cyberjaya will be a future green building. So this is something that we're very glad and we're supportive and we facilitate Ministry of Health in their initiatives. As far as we know, the second initiative that we're planning right now, they're planning with agency under Ministry of Agriculture. They're planning to do biodegradable packaging for their hospitals together with Bioeconomy Corporation. And then the other part that they're planning to do is also look at sustainable waste management and disposal for the clinical waste in hospitals. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Madam Rina. Very informative to our youth today. So, okay, with that, I would like to say thank you to Madam Rina on behalf of BIM for very informative information to us. So now we move on to our programs. So thank you, Madam. So I would like to share my file. Okay, today we have amazing panels on youth sustainability leadership, where we will be talking about the role of youth and their involvement in the implementation of sustainable development goals in Malaysia from various background professional sectors and universities. And later I will introduce them one by one. As I mentioned before, our goal today is that whatever your role in the committee, that you will come away with something, a better understanding, a bright idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy. As a leader of tomorrow, our youth today emphasize the role of youth of successful implementing the SDGs in Malaysia. So the format, to give you an idea of what to expect today, we will take a few moments for each of the panelists to briefly present about their background and work in their respective universities and their sectors. After that, we will have kicks of the conversation or discussion, asking questions that draw out some of questions related to SDG. And then at the end of our forum, we will open up the platform to give you an opportunity to ask specific questions to our panelists. So I hope you will enjoy the forums. So now let's begin with first panelist. So here we have Ng Jianxin. Ng Jianxin is a third year student of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management. She is the current president of the SPAS Club. She believes that everyone could not be left out in the contributing to the environment. Prevention is better than cure. So Ng Jianxin, you can continue for your 3-minute presentation.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rosasi. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia for inviting me as a panelist for this Youth Sustainability Leadership webinar. Next slide, please, Doctor. Okay. So I would like to kickstart my presentation from the world scenario. So what is happening in the world now? 2019 is considered the second warmest year on the Earth. 10 million hectares of forests have been destroyed annually for the past 5 years. 12 billion tons of plastics are being poured into the ocean every year, while air pollution kills an estimated 7 million people every year. So when we look into Malaysian scenario, there are environmental issues from water pollution such as Kim River toxic pollution and water crisis in Selangor, transboundary haze issue, deforestation, increasing flood intensities by climate change, open dumping issue, which lead to moderate ranking in Environmental Performance Index 2020. So, therefore, University Malaya as the top 10 best universities in Asia for QS World University Ranking always works hard to achieve the SDG, and we believe that knowledge is the source of success. So in 2020, University Malaya climbed up to 32nd place in the world's most sustainable university based on Universitas Indonesia Green Metric ranking, with the recognition of best water management and waste management in Malaysia. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, all right. So here comes our course club under University Malaya, which is Environmental Science and Management Club, being known as Club Science Pengurusan Alam Sekitar or SPAS Club. So to achieve our objectives to create awareness in protecting our environment, we have effective field trips aside from the lectures and also the lab activities. We organize various activities with the remarkable events of an environmental run towards zero plastic and also the annual dinner to strengthen our relationship bonds between members. We were being also invited to join events outside the university, such as the Earth Day celebration in Pakistan and also being volunteers in My Safe Food during Ramadan. Therefore, University Malaya acts as a platform for us to polish knowledge and application in the environment. So after graduation, the students with environmental backgrounds can continue their expertise on policymaking, spreading environmental concerns as a climate expert, exploring green and clean technology, as well as doing research as environmental analysts. Youth are vulnerable to environmental impacts, and thus it is urgent for us to stand up and ensure that environment is safe for future generations in order to achieve SDG in 2030. And to end my presentation, I would like to share a quote from Mohammad. Earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. So we move to the second panelist. So we have here our Mr. Tan Qiyang. Mr. Tan Qiyang is a 4th year medical student from the University of Malaya. On top of being the previous president of UM Medical Society, he is currently the only Malaysian Planetary Health Campus ambassador under the Planetary Health Alliance. He believes that medical professionals need to utilize their voice to acknowledge and address the health impacts of the changing climate and environmental urgently. He is the current chairperson of Society of Malaysian Medical Association Medical Student, which is part of an International Federation of Medical Student Association. He was a part of the IFMSA delegation to the 70 Regional Committee of the WHO Western Pacific Regional Office. So without further ado, Mr. Tan, you can continue your presentation.
Thank you, Doctor, for the kind introduction. So we'd like to just build up on what Jashin has already presented earlier on the number of deaths from air pollution, and then from Madam Elina's talk about ethical healthcare and how is it important while we are providing services and care. It's important for us to do no harm, not just to the patients but also to the environment. So I would like to today share with you what is there a role for sustainability in healthcare, and how does this thing go actually in both directions. So healthcare do contribute a significant amount of carbon output, at the same time, we do receive the impacts in terms of health, human health, from environment and climate change. So we look at how carbon output of healthcare actually play a role here. It is difficult to start this discussion because a lot of times we think of the essentiality of the services, and a lot of times in our services that provide, it's energy and resource intensive, like surgery, and it might be difficult for us to quantify the carbon output. So just for some perspectives, in the UK hospital, operation, it on average gives out 173 kilograms of carbon dioxide per case. It is just one case. You can have multiple cases in one day, and you can have multiple OTs in one hospital. And comparing to a drive using our national favorite, Berdua Maibi, from Johor Bahru to Bukit Kayu Hitam, it's actually less than that. So we can see it's really a significant amount of carbon output because of the energy and the resource intensive settings that we need. From another perspective, we look at how climate change can impact healthcare until the point where the Lancet, which is a very renowned peer-reviewed journal in the medical field, the Lancet themselves even announced that there needs to be a new discipline, which is called planetary health. So in this planetary health, what they aim to do is, previously we always like to relate the causes of disease with everything that's happened, going wrong within our body, bacteria, viruses, too much sugar, cholesterol. So now we need to look outside of our body and acknowledge that the external factors from the environment might play a role. Right, so can I have the next slide? Thank you. So this is just illustration. Can you? Right, so this is just an illustration on how can this climate change and environmental change actually impact healthcare. Can you try to click on the screen? Right, so if you can see in the middle circle, this is an image by the CDC, rising temperatures, extreme weather, sea levels, carbon dioxide levels, all this will cause the environmental impacts in the middle circle. But that is all the narrative that we have been using to address climate change now. Maybe it is because of this reason that we have not gotten too much traction from here. So if we are able to expand the impacts of the environmental change, how it affects healthcare and all these diseases that environmental change can cause, we should be able to bring more attention and more urgent actions to climate change. So with that, I would like to end my presentation here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Tan Qiyang. Okay, we continue to our next panelist. So we move to the University Technology Malaysia under engineering sector. So we have Mr. Izzaz Wilfred. Is a third-year civil engineering student at University Technology Malaysia. He is currently the president of Persatuan Kejuruteraan Awam. He believes that through collaboration and program execution between student center societies of Malaysian universities and Malaysian organizations, youth can play a critical role in the implementation of SDGs and environmental conservation efforts. So without further ado, please Mr. Izzaz for your presentation.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you, Madam Ina, for answering my question in the chat box. So hello and a very good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to start with introducing myself. My name is Izzaz Wilfred. I am a full-time civil engineering student currently studying in University Technology Malaysia. I am the president for Persatuan Kejuruteraan Awam for this session. I am very delighted to be one of the panels of this forum today. So enough about me. For the viewers' information, UTM is one of the research and top universities in Malaysia. It is ranked number 39 in the QS Asia University ranking, and it is highly recognized by many. So moving on to my society, PECA was established in 1992 as a civil engineering student-centered organization, which has its core priority to provide opportunities for the development of high-quality young-to-be engineers through the execution of programs, as well as to act as a platform for the students' welfare management. So since I'm coming from the perspective of engineering, so I'll be speaking more on engineering problems and solutions. To talk a little bit about what I will be discussing with the other panels later, I will be talking about environmental problems, the effects, and how we students, youth, or practically anyone that has a sense of responsibility can participate in environmental conservation efforts. Next slide, please. So as we all know, engineering advancements are very essential to us, yet we still have to realize that all positive things have their own bad things. To quote the third law of Newton, for every action, there is a reaction force applied oppositely. I believe this law has virtually affected all principles from the first industrial revolution to date. Taking examples such as global warming, climate change, rising of greenhouse gas emissions due to the growing energy demands that have been intensified from human activities, which have contributed to rising sea temperatures, rising sea levels, rising of temperatures, floodings, and a variety of other impacts. We should open our eyes to the real efforts, to the real challenges that we face. Part of the strategy is focused on mitigation, and various efforts had been done all the way from Kyoto Protocol and Paris Agreement to assist both developed and developing countries to curb this problem. From the world of civil engineering, I personally believe that sustainable cities or buildings is one of the approach, and this is in fact one of the goals of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So what can we do to avoid or reverse this problem as an individual studying from an engineering standpoint? And the answer will be discussed more on a forum later on, so stay tuned. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Izzaz. Okay, stay tuned for the next discussion with Izzaz. So now we're moving on to our fourth panelist. So we have Mr. Mohammad Hafiz Ayman bin Muhammad Harudin. Mr. Hafiz Ayman is a third year student in Bachelor of Agriculture Science. Currently, he is the Vice President of PERMATANI, or we call it Persatuan Mahasiswa Fakulti Pertanian. He had traveled far from Malaysia to gain knowledge about agriculture in other countries as well. He joined mobility program for one semester in Korea in order to observe how agriculture and the behavior of the student there. Currently, he also joined a project in UPM planting about 1,000 of rock melon tree using new method of agriculture, which is mitigation system. This is a student activity which requires full effort from student to start from zero until harvest. He believes that by doing this, he can encourage youth and other students to learn about agriculture and attract them to involve in new era of agriculture. So, Mr. Hafiz, please continue for your presentation.
Thank you to Madam Moderator. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning to all viewers. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude to Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia for inviting me as a panel for today's webinar. And before I'm going further, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Muhammad Hafiz Ayman bin Muhammad Harudin, and currently I'm a Vice President of Student Association of PERMATANI. PERMATANI is a student association, and it is the first faculty student association in UPM. PERMATANI also has involved in various aspects and programs, and the biggest program is ISS, which is International Student Symposium. Yeah, thank you. UPM is a world-class university, which UPM has ranked 132 in QS World University Ranking in 2021. And UPM also is number 1 in Malaysia for UI Green Metric World University Metric 2020. Next letter. Next letter. Okay, next, I would like to go straight to our topic today, which is youth involvement in environmental change. For your information, agriculture sector and environment are two different things, but they have a really strong relationship. What agriculture does will give impact on environment, either positive impact or negative. Next, if you talk about the student itself, especially I will focus on agriculture students, what they know about environmental change. In my opinion, all agriculture students are aware about environmental change because, like I said earlier, agriculture and environment have a really strong relationship. What we learn in class session, we relate between the two components, which are agriculture and also environment. Other than that, I want to talk about the responsible of agriculture student. What is the responsible of us? In my opinion, agriculture students carry a biggest responsible to our country as well as to our environment. But why I say like that is because we are the one who produce the food for the people, and without food, anyone cannot survive. But in order to produce food while protecting the environment is through sustainable farming. But most wonder, what is sustainable farming? In simplest word, sustainable farming is producing more food but give less negative impact on the environment. There are a lot of ways to implementing sustainable farming, and I will just introduce you with two methods in this webinar, which is first intercropping and also IoT, Internet of Things. Intercropping method actually can reduce the number of chemical pesticide and also chemical fertilizer used in a farm, and it can reduce the significantly. It can reduce the number of greenhouse gas emission. Next is IoT, Internet of Things. This is the most intriguing topic because now all people want to do less work but gain more money. Agriculture sector are not left behind in IoT. Nowadays, farmers just have to use their phone to control their farm. If they want to give fertilizer, they just click on the phone. As simple as it is. As the world changed, agriculture also changed. The farmers are no longer need to do the hard work, gain lower profit, and come back home with a dirty shirt. All the farm works are done only by using the phone. Youth have to involve in this new era of agriculture because I believe that youth power can make the changes. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for the kind introduction about the agriculture. So we move to the next panelist. So we have Mr. Harivallagan Sivakuman. So Mr. Harivallagan, a third-year material science student from Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. He is the current president for the association, for the Student Association of Faculty Science and Technology, and the previous president of Material Science Club. He been using his platform to bring awareness among the youth toward the sustainability development goals and the strong role of science in a brighter future. Harivallagan is a strong belief that the youth of today hold a strong responsibility to lead the world for a better tomorrow. Please do give a warm welcome to the Mr. Harivallagan for his presentation.
Hello guys, is my voice clear?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. And as introduced, my name is Harivallagan from the Student Association of Faculty Science and Technology, also known as PMFST UCAM. And here at PMFST, we always put our focus in line with sustainability development goals, such as we focus on welfare, environment, awareness, and of course, many more as well. So we also got a small example of programs that we get involved in. For example, we got involved in welfare of free meals, explore race of science and technology. We got conference talk. We also have forum contributing of science and technology. So next slide, please. So besides that, today I'm here happy to explain about how science and technology can play an important part in sustainability development goals. Previous panelists have explained how energy demand causes a negative impact, right? So, but I'd like to here to emphasize in more specifically on the cleaner energy sustainability. Before we talk about the solution, I want to begin with the current problem dilemma that we are facing. So the usage of electricity or the energy is still dependent on non-renewable energy, and the usage of renewable energy, also known as the clean energy, is still around 11% of the total electricity source. And the challenges are various because of it. For example, the number one challenge why we are not using clean energy much is because of the cost. There's need of a high investment, and this is also obviously a real challenge when we look on the GDP of the country. Besides that, we also have to look at the resources location. For example, we cannot expect all the river to use hydroelectricity, but only the river with high current. Also, there's an issue about availability. So availability just means that the supply does not meet the demand. So what it means is that, for example, in a solar farm, we can expect the weather to be sunny when there's an high electric demand, right? So that's just a few examples. And also power quality. And power quality just means that the voltage variation, the current harmonic, or the more complex structure of the electricity when we are using this clean energy source. However, what I think is that you'd always been there, proving that there is no challenge undefeatable. So let me give a few examples. Like we can look at Anna Herbs. Anna Herbs is a person who made a project called Project Beacon that produced electricity just merely from the wave of ocean to help a cleaner energy for the mass. We also have Project Arvus from Mendu, a simple but brilliant idea of using piezoelectric that vibrates the leaf of the prototype that makes electricity. And we also can look a few ideas. One of it is mentionable from UCAM itself. Synthetic biodegradable biocomposite is a polymer matrix that lessen the usage of energy itself, so as a lower carbon footprint while having desirable properties. And we also can look at projects such as thermal grid storage of molten salt, a new generation of more efficient energy storage from Robert B. Loveling. So I think that's all I want to talk about today, and I hope I can be more informative. However, we will discuss even further on how youth can play their part as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hari. So we move to the final panelists. So here we have Miss Nabila Muhammad Khalid. Nabila is the final year student of Social Science, majoring in Economic from University Science Malaysia. She is the former secretary of the USM Economics Clubs, and currently she is the vice president for PFPP Student Residential Council. She was part of the committee members and also the participant of ASEAN Future Leaders Summit 2020. She believed that SDGs should be the moral and social obligation to maintain and preserve the environment. So, Nabila, please continue your presentation.
Thank you, Doctor. So, Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. So, first of all, I would like to say thank you to Balai Ikhtisas Malaysia for inviting me to be one of the panelists in this webinar. I'm Nabila Khalid, a final year student in Bachelor of Economics from University Science Malaysia. So today I'll be talking about the green recovery after COVID-19, and this topic is quite relatable to what Madam Elena has presented just now. So before I start talking about green economy, I would like to share with you the three main pillars in sustainable development, which are social, economic, and also environmental. And these three pillars are informally referred to people, planets, and profits. And on the right side of the slide, these are the roles of youth to achieve sustainable development. Innovators, change maker, leaders, communicators, and also critical thinker are the attributes to achieve sustainable development. And these attributes are important to balance these three components. Next slide, please. So in this part, we will look at the impact of pandemic COVID-19 on social, economy, and environment, and why the green recovery is vital. So in social and economic aspects, this pandemic has caused more than 1,000 of deaths until today, while 100,000 of people are out of work. The closure of school and university and how they desperately need a good internet access to study, and all of this shows how this pandemic affects our life. Meanwhile, in the environment aspect, the marine animals are at risk of severe injuries or death from waste products like face masks that are found in rivers and oceans. Therefore, I think a green economic recovery strategy is necessary to conserve the environment while rebuilding the economy post-pandemic. So what is green recovery, or so-called green economy? A green economy is defined as low carbon, socially inclusive, and resource efficient. In a green economy, growth in employment and income are driven by public and private investment into economic activities, infrastructures, and also allow reduced carbon emission and pollution. So what are the strategies to create green economy? The first strategy is green economic development. The second one is resource efficiency and green purchasing. Next one is local production and utilization. The fourth one is waste stream management, and the last one is green infrastructure. So to conclude my presentation, major investment to green economy could create 100,000 of jobs. Green recovery or green economy will not only give benefit to the planet, but it will be good for the economy and the social too. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to Nabila and all panelists. So we move to the discussion for our topic today. Okay. Hi, our panelists. Are you ready? Okay. So I will start for the introduction, and before we start for the discussion about our topic today. So according to, if you are aware about our statistic population in the world, so according to United Nations, there are 1.21 billion young people between the ages of 15 to 24 in the world today. So accounting of our population 15% of the global population. So currently, a new Sustainable Development Agenda for the period 2015 to 2030 emphasizes the role of the young people and the need for their active participation in the promotion and realization of this objective and its targets for the Agenda 2015 to 2030. If you are aware about the SDGs 2015 to 2030. So I would ask Janshin about how much you contribute to the achievement of this SDGs. So what do you think?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Rosasi, for the question. So as presented by Nabila just now, we have general 5 main roles for the youth that I would like to highlight here, which are critical thinkers, change makers, innovators, communicators, and leaders. So before we go into more specific sectors, I would like to highlight these 5 general main roles. So first is critical thinkers. So we have to think before we act. So we must be curious about the world around us and keep asking questions like, for example, why and how the environmental damage keeps happening, whether it's about quick implementation or there's a problem with our attitudes or behaviors. And the second point is change makers. So I believe that youth people have the power to act and motivate others. Nowadays, the technology is so advanced that almost every youth can have the access to social media. So we can see from the youth activism to address the environmental concerns, social media is one of the powerful tools to spread the news. For example, the Swedish environmental activist Greta that against climate change in Fridays for Future that has much influence on others around the world. So for my third point is innovators. I also believe that youth people always have the fresh and unique perspective for the environmental issues that are not accessible to the adults. So from their personal experience that can lead them to understand the environmental problems better, thus they are able to offer new ideas and alternative solutions to protect the environment, such as to explore greener and cleaner technologies with the lesser cost. So for the fourth point is youth as communicators. This point is important for youth to deliver their thinkings and ideas to their peers and communities at the local level, as well as across the countries. For example, the Youth Climate Action Summit in United Nations, being organized last year, became a platform for the youth climate champions around the world to share their solutions on the global stage and urge the world leaders to take action. For the fifth is youth as leaders. We should not be youth only, but we should be youth-led. So when youth are empowered with the knowledge of their rights and equipped with leadership skills, only they can drive change in their communities and countries. So it is important to take actions now as we are the leader for tomorrow. So until here, I conclude my 5 main points here, which are critical thinkers, change makers, innovators, communicators, and leaders.
Okay, thank you. And so we have five points that's youth, the role of youth to contribute our SDGs. So this is a very important of the side of the role of the youth for the implementation SDGs. So Nabila, what do you think about the young people knowledge in SDGs? Do you think the most young people in Malaysia know about SDGs? What do you think about this one?
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the question. So, according to UNICEF, from the report released to mark the occasion of World Children's Day last year, 9 out of 10 youth in Malaysia are already taking individual action to address climate change. And 92% of young people think that the climate change is a crisis. So as we can see here, the level of awareness on sustainable development among Malaysian youth is quite reasonable, as these days there are many environmental awareness programs have been introduced to promote sustainable living among youth. But sadly, there's some of them, maybe they have the tendency to believe that we're a country of abundance of resources and it is the government's job to protect the environment. But to me personally, I think SDGs should be the moral and social obligation for everyone to maintain the and preserve the environment.
Okay, thank you, Nabila. Yes,
Sure.
Thank you for the statistic and your opinion that the SDG is obligation for youth to know about this one for the better world. So is it how about the challenges? What do you think, Mr. Tan? Is it
Before that,
some?
Doctor,
Yes. Okay.
can I talk about a little bit about what Nabila said just now?
Okay.
Yeah. I believe that if you talked about it in a casual conversation, like in a cafe or in a restaurant, right? We know about SDG, like it's at the back of our heads. But I would say young people about SDG is there, but it's not quite there. What I mean is that it's not at a satisfactory level. This is probably because we were taught about it at some point in our life, but we just don't practice it as much until it became something crucial in our life. So I think that the solution should be more on how to integrate that into our daily life instead of enhancing our knowledge so that it can become a habit. So in the end, simple stuff like recycling, not being wasteful, and stuff like that can become naturally to us. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Izzaz, for your information. So, according to the information from the Janshin and Nabila and the Izzaz information, so how we want to implement this one? Is it any challenges to our youth to implement the SDG, implementation of the SDG currently? What do you think, Mr. Tan?
Right. Agree on what Izzaz and also Nabila and Justin shared about our current level of awareness and knowledge. Because if we don't know about something, we cannot act on it. Personally, I had to attend meetings and trainings overseas to learn about SDGs. Seems like there are not enough discussions, not enough platform for us to learn. And then another thing I would like to point out is that the mindset of our university students, right? So which constitute a large part of the youth, is that an activity or an event cannot take place without having, goodie bags, other sponsorship department. Then we have goodie bags. In the goodie bags, we have bottled mineral water, plastic bottle inside. So we need to start having more discussion and change the mindset, right? And there's also a tendency for us to work in silos. We are all, hide in our own profession. We don't come out into platforms like this to discuss how we can collaborate.
So do you think that this one, our platform is very good?
Yes, but definitely we should not stop here. Let's not stop here.
Okay, so this is our objective. Hopefully you can bring this idea to your universities and maybe later on in your working times. Okay, so any opinion in terms of challenges, how the youth want to implement for the SDGs?
Doctor, if I can still add on.
Yeah, sure.
Right. I also feel that there is a lack of intergenerational leadership. I'd like to introduce this term intergenerational leadership, which means that every generation has different strengths and weaknesses. So there needs to be meaningful engagement between leaders from different generations. That there cannot be, always people in 50s, 60s leading the youth. And we should adhere. This is a very youthful, energetic session. We should start acknowledging that youth are not the leaders for tomorrow. We can be the leaders today. Right.
Yeah, you are leader for tomorrow. Okay. So any additional info from the floor?
Yeah, you're actually completely right, Qiyang. But maybe I can add a little bit. I believe that we are able to implement SDG through the execution of programs. But one of the challenges through this is that our resources are limited. So resources, what I mean is in terms of our money. As leaders from our societies, right, I'm pretty sure we all face the same struggle when conducting programs, which is to find sponsorships. One of the hardest things to do. It's actually quite a hassle to raise funds for our program. So we have this brilliant ideas in our heads, but it is actually hard for us to actually do it because sometimes we cannot keep up with it financially. So in order to find the solution for this, of course, we need to find sponsorship. But in order to find sponsorship, we need to be known to the public. So I believe through programs like this forum, we are able to expose ourselves, our society to the public, and ultimately expand our networking with other societies, organizations like BIM, and through this, it will be actually help us in the long run if we have formed lots of connection.
Okay, okay, yes. The major problem for every program is constraint of budget and financial, right? So you need to be creative and so on. So okay, hopefully everything goes well. So just now Izzaz, you hutang we all one because just now you mentioned you want to talk about more about the engineering. More the engineering, so we know that technology development are very significant for each of our industry, but they have also adversely affected to our environment. So how do we reduce or even reverse the negative impact and continue the benefit for technology advance? So this one is a question.
All right. Thank you, Doctor, for the question. So when we are talking about technology, plenty of the technologies that we use every day consume a lot of electricity that we use. And this will cause a lot of energy and that they actually need. So while using and producing them can also create a mess. Some of the ways that technology can harm the environment is pollution, water pollution, heat pollution, noise pollution, air pollution, and stuff like that. And all of these can be caused by using and producing technology. Other than that, clearing of lands where animals used to live and that can contaminate their food chains. Technology also consume our resources. To be exact, non-renewable resources such as gold, which are used to make technology. Other than that, coals that are being consumed to generate electricity to use our technology, and even some renewable resources such as trees and water are becoming more contaminated as we use up faster than they can renew themselves. So although technology have had some negative impacts, there have also many positive impacts. For instance, it has helped us to develop new materials and technologies that are sustainable and do not harm the environment. I believe that eventually at some point, we can stop using the ones harming the environment and opt for a cleaner and more sustainable ones. Besides that, one that we all can relate, which I am pretty sure everyone here have used, are laboratories. The advancement of our technology has also improved our studies and researches, and it most definitely has made us to understand our studies even better. In addition to this advancement has also allowed us to create and smarter technology. We can use them to adjust accordingly. For example, automated lights. So when we enter a room, it can turn on its own, and we leave the room, it can turn off its own. So it's one of the good things about advancement of technology.
Okay.
So yeah.
So how we can relate with your sector, engineering?
So in order to relate that, we can use when we are building. For my instance, my sector is civil engineering. We can use materials that are more sustainable. For example, one of my seniors have used this material in his competition and won grand prize for this. Instead of using the normal materials for concrete, he used eggshells as one of the materials, which are very accessible and very cheap to use. Very cheap. Yeah.
Okay, you just mentioned about the cheap and cost and so on. So what do you think, Nabila, as a student of economy? So do you any comment according to Izzah's answers?
Sorry, come again, Doctor. I can.
Because just now Izzah mentioned about the cost and about the cost related to the technology and so on. So what your opinion about the in terms of economics? You can hear me? We can hear you, Nabila. Please unmute.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
Okay.
So I think a renewable energy that existing effort made by government and businesses in renewable energy is expected to be a cheapest option even without subsidies, you know.
Oh, still unmute Nabila. So it's okay. So maybe Nabila will talk later. So we continue to Hari. Okay, Hari. So have you seen any progress in your field of your study toward the meeting specific SDG and targets in terms of science and technology?
I think that's a really good question because I'm a material science student, and every day we study about how we can progress towards meeting a specific SDG. For example, in corrosion R&D, corrosion research and development, my lecturers have been responsible for making corrosion of metal in the oil rig application so that they corrode in time to make a habitat for the coral reef. And they're also my seniors who work in a company to separate material from complex structure to make sure for a better recyclability. So the short answer is yes, Doctor. I think I've seen many progress towards meeting the specific SDG in the field of science and technology. In fact, they are proven with the fact that the CO2 emission has decreased around 6.5% in 2019.
Okay. So we move to Hafiz. Hi, Hafiz.
Hi, Doctor.
So, okay, very informative. Just now you informed about the agriculture sector. So I want to know what the real life situation. Just now you mentioned about the gadget, the farmers can turn on the water system by phone and so on. So what about the who's the develop that technology and so on, the involvement of the youth. So what is the real life situation right now in terms of agriculture sectors that contribute to environment change and involvement of youth in agriculture to overcome the problems?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sazrin, for the interesting question. So first of all, I will talk first about the greenhouse gas emission. So in Malaysia, greenhouse gas emission from agriculture sector is about 3% of total greenhouse gas emission. And for your information, the common GHG from agriculture is like methane, carbon dioxide, and also nitrous dioxide. These gases are actually from livestock, and also from manure, and also from fertilizer use. But the real question is, what we want to talk about is how youth can overcome this problem. How youth can overcome this GHG emission, this climate change. So youth contribution in agriculture sector is still low, about only 15% only, and this is because most youth think that agriculture is not an attractive sector and also a low profit sector. But the fact is, I give an example, a farmer in Terengganu who have a Musang King farm can gain about 150,000 ringgit per year per hectare. So this is a really big profit to him. And I realized that youth like technology, and therefore youth should involve in this new era of agriculture that use Internet of Things, sustainable farming, and also precision farming. Why I say youth should involve is because these methods actually can reduce the waste from agriculture, but all of these methods requires youth involvement because it is a bit hard for old generation to learn and know about new technology. So, but I believe youth can learn it very well. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. So any from my reading about the gap generation in terms of the application of sustainable agriculture in the agriculture sector, what do you think?
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. So there is a gap between new youth generation and also between old generation. This is because, as we know that new technology requires a lot of understanding, but old generation maybe cannot catch up with the new technology. So youth and also new generation are more tend to involve in this new era of agriculture compared to old generation.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz. So we move to the Nabila about the, just now we asked you about the economy and so on. So what is the socio-economic impact of the green economy and sustainable development?
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the question. Can you all hear me now? I'm sorry,
yes,
I think my earphone is not.
We cannot hear you, Nabila. So it's okay. While Nabila fix.
Okay. Can you guys hear me now?
Okay, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry, I'm so sorry. I think my earphone has something wrong.
It's
So
okay.
to answer the question just now, I think a green economy is central to reduce poverty. As everyone knows, the #1 goal in SDGs is no poverty. So improving the quality of the environment of which people livelihood depends on, especially in rural communities in developing countries, will contribute to poverty reduction. Moreover, a green economy has the potential to create jobs in certain sectors, such as in waste management and investment in green economy could create hundreds of thousands of jobs. It is also hoped will promote new business opportunities, for example, a sustainable agriculture and so on. So green recovery or green economy will give benefit to social, economies, and environment too. Yeah.
Thank you, Nabila. So the socio-economic impact is very important to indicator for our impact for our effort for the SDGs. So I hope you are aware about the International Youth Day. Every year we are celebrate International Youth Day. So a day to celebrate the voices, action, and contribution of young people in building a better world. So last year, our theme is youth engagement for global action, for opportunity to highlight and engagement of young people in climate action. So the key keyword for the last International Youth Day is climate change atau climate action, youth in climate action at the local, national and global level. So I want to know that our local student here, so about your opinion. So Janshin, what do you think? Is it any way can we improve the climate awareness of youth in Malaysia?
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the question. So actually, there are much efforts done internationally. So there is education sustainable development under the UNESCO that integrates sustainable development issues into teaching and learning. And there's also a global initiative to advance children's rights to a healthy environment in United Nations, where children and youth from around the world will be invited to share their views and concerns on environmental issues. So, and also in Malaysia, there are lots of environmental campaigns to increase the awareness that held by governments such as the Friends of Environmental Program under the Department of Environment, and also from NGOs such as Greenpeace and also Economics. Besides, there are also Eco Schools program that operated by WWF in several schools, such as in Sekolah Sri Bestari in Kuala Lumpur. So, and coming back to the question, how to increase the climate awareness among the youth? So I think firstly, we have to enhance the knowledge that we should make environmental education as compulsory to create ecological awareness. It's because education enables you to understand and address the impact of global warming and to increase the climate literacy among the young people so that it can help them to adapt to climate change related trends. And most importantly, to have the changes in their attitudes and behavior.
Okay, thank you, Janshin, for your answer. So for Izzaz, what are some of the achievements that is prevalent today of youth in engineering sector that already achieved?
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for the question. So recently, a team was sent by UTM for this competition, was called Tall Building Design Competition. So this team is called UTM Awesome, and he is one of my seniors, his name is Mohammad, and his team won the competition by by proposing a building that focuses on sustainable components, and also it is designed as a quarantine center due to the pandemic COVID-19. So some of the features that I would love to highlight is that this building is designed to have its own rainwater harvesting system, as well as to provide safe water for human consumption. In addition to that, the small features that play huge roles, such as water meters, to limit water use, using clean energy such as solar panels, and also implementing the 3R system in the building, using safe paints that contains less carbon are some examples of it. There are actually a lot more of this building in terms of how it is built, the piling system works, and the type of materials used that is sustainable, but I can't really explain right now due to the time constraints and my limited knowledge of it. So my point exactly is that young people are capable of coming up with great ideas on how to create a sustainable system of movements, and we should not limit ourselves from being aware of the environmental problems, because eventually we will be the ones taking over the driving force of the north. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Izzah, for your answer. Very significant to your sector.
Yeah.
So for the Hafiz, how about the agriculture sector? Because climate change and agriculture very related, because we talk about the food security. So how does climate change affect agriculture sector, and what is the consequence to the food security of our country? And we talk about our country.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. So in agriculture, climate change has a great impact on agriculture. But if the current situation of GHG emission and climate change right now continue, then by the year 2100, there will be a decline in cereal crops such as maize, wheat, and also rice. And for example, I give a simple example. When drought happen, so not enough rain, the crop will die because they need sufficient water, and the farmers cannot supply the sufficient water. And also when the flood occur, the crop will be destroyed because of the flood. And as well as when the seawater level increase, the agricultural land in coastal region will be decreased and also will be destroyed. So at this time, when this phenomenon happen, the food security of our country will be at a very critical condition, because maybe not only our country will suffer from food security, but other countries also will suffer from food security. So no import and exportation occur. So we will depend only on our agriculture. So so when these phenomenal things happen, if we only depends on our sufficient level right now, the food security of our country will be at a very critical condition. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Hafiz, for your answer according to your sector. So, Nabila, how can youth contribute to build a better world? What do you think? According to our scenario about the climate change nowadays, is it our climate in the Malaysia is very bad?
Yeah, well, thank you, Doctor, for the question. So the question is about how can youth the world a better place. So I think the biggest advantage of youth is that youth has a lot of creativity, ideas, and also potential to be a very active part in the society. As a youth myself, I think it's never too young to cultivate our own ideas. So I think youth are the one who shapes the future. Youth needs to gather and exchange ideas and create solutions in sustainable development. Youth need to be the innovators, the change maker to make our world better. Maybe they can help others to make this world better by doing projects or startup and innovate the businesses that meet the needs of the enterprise and stakeholders while protecting, sustaining, and enhancing the human and natural resources that will be needed in the future. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nabila. So how Hari, how can young innovators can contribute toward environmental sustainability target, and how to encourage more youth to get involved? So this one we talk about in terms of the climate action, youth in climate action.
Okay, that's a good question, Doctor. I want to continue what Nabila said. Like Nabila said that youth are really creative, and I think yes, youth they got a lot of passion, right? So what I think youth can do is that they can, especially when it comes to young innovators, what they can do is they can use their passion and mold it towards the usage, the utilization of green energy or green environment. Maybe I can explain this more through an example. For example, there's a person named Kiana Kev from New Orleans. She's 18. And what we can see is that she got a passion in chemistry. And so in chemistry, what she did is she figured it a way with chemical method to detect carcinogens in the ocean. So that is a good example of youth with passion. They can use their passion and help it with the environment. And if you want to talk about how they can encourage more youth to get more involved, is that I think the best way for youth to get more involved is not only based on the youth itself, but about the surrounding of their community, maybe their parents, maybe their neighborhoods, and people like that have to give awareness about SDG and the climate itself. I hope I answered the question, Doctor.
Yeah, thank you, Hari. So we already almost reached 11 a.m. So last question for our forum today. So to Mr. Tan. So we have this quote after the youth International Youth Day last year. Some quote from the panelists. We are young people and we will solve climate change. The quote from the forum international level. So they are quote here, we are young people and we will solve climate change. So what do you think about this quote, Mr. Tan?
Right. So from that, thank you, Doctor. From that quote, we can see a very energetic, full of energy in the youth population. So what we also need to be aware of is that we cannot do this alone. However energetic we are, how good your idea is, we cannot do this alone. And again, would like to go back to what I've mentioned earlier about intergenerational leadership, right? And how every generation has their own strength and there needs to be meaningful engagement between generations. So now the youth, first of all, the youth need to be ready, all right? And we need to meaningfully participate. That means in all the participation in everything that we do, it needs to be meaningful and impactful. We cannot just be put onto the table just as a token or manipulated, right? So I'm using this platform here to reach out to our leaders, both in governments, non-government sectors, saying that stop using youth as a tokenism or stop trying to manipulate youth. We should try to come together, discuss, work together to discuss solutions to improve for the better, right? So to the youth, to my fellow youths, are we ready to be involved at that sort of level? So that is what we need to think about, right? So I think what's important is that we really cannot do it alone. And back to that statement, we are young people and we will solve climate change. So my take on this is that as the youth, we should not limit ourselves to keep, the narrative, the statement of we are the leaders of tomorrow should, let's just stop that here, and we should come to acknowledge that we can be leaders from today. We don't have to wait until tomorrow or until we are at a certain age to say that, okay, we are leaders, right? So again, we are not leaders of tomorrow, we can be leaders today, because tomorrow will never come. There will always be tomorrow. Yeah. All right, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, you are leader for today, of course. You are president, vice president, you are already leader today. And of course, I hope that you are leader for tomorrow. So we end our forum, but then we continue for the Q&A from our audience. We have, I think we have 2 questions here. So one question goes to Miss Nabila. Nabila? What is the difference between the concept of green economy and sustainable development, and how can it help deliver sustainable development? So from Putri, she asked you about the differentiate between the green economy and the sustainable development.
Okay, thank you for the question. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So green economy is not a replacement for sustainable development. Sustainable development emphasizes the need of supporting development in 3 pillars in economics, social, and also environment. Meanwhile, green economy means fostering economic growth and development while ensuring that natural assets continue to provide the resources and environment services on which our well-being relies. So in green economy case, the strategy needs to go hand in hand with the main pillar of action to promote social equity, more intensive human capital investment, inclusive employment promotion, well-designed tax, and others. So to answer the question, how can it help to deliver sustainable development? It actually depends on policy and institutional settings, and also level of development, social structures, and resource endowments, and particular environment pressure points. To do this, it must catalyze investment and innovation, which will underpin sustained growth and give rise to new economic opportunities. So basically, green economy does not aim to replace the sustainable development concept, but rather complement it by emphasizing the importance of improving the sustainability in the global economy. So yeah, that's
okay. Thank you, Nabila, for the very comprehensive answer. So we have open question here from Alia Hazika. So I hope one of you can answer this one. I have a question for the panel. Do you think we can achieve a balance between the 3 pillars of sustainability, social, environment, and economic without compromising on one aspect of another? So what do you think as a youth generation, leader of today and leader of tomorrow?
Doctor, can
Yeah.
I?
Okay, thank you, Hafiz.
Yeah.
So,
But first of all, I would like to say that I will answer this question on behalf of agriculture sector. So on behalf of agriculture sector, sustainability is actually the solutions to all those 3 pillars: social, environmental, and economic. It is a choice, but it is also a solution. Why I say it is a solution is because when we implement sustainability in agriculture sector, for example, if we implement precision farming in agriculture sector, there will be reduced in pesticides use and also in fertilizer use because it's precise. The farmers only give the pesticide and also fertilizer to a certain group of crops that are not sufficient fertilizer. And also the farmers also give the precise pesticide to the crop which get infected. So by doing this, actually the farmers have already saved the social and also the environment, because when the chemical use is reduced, so the effect on the social will also be reduced because there are no residue of chemical going to the river and also water body. And also for environment, the same goes to environment because there are no excessive fertilizer or pesticide or chemicals go to the water body and also infect people around there. And also for economic, when the farmers achieve successfully reduce the chemical use, so that the farmers can reduce the capital to buy the sources. So significantly, it will increase the economic of the farmers by reducing the cost but gaining more profit. That's all.
okay, thank you, Hafiz, for your comprehensive answer. So anyone want to continue? Because this one is 3 pillars is very important to achieve the sustainability, social, environment, and economics. Yes. So,
May I chip in?
okay, sure.
Okay, continuing what Mr. Hafiz said, that is right. I agree with the statement that sustainability is the solution for 3 pillars, which is social, environment, and also the economic. In my terms, in my perspective of science and technology, I can agree this because if you look at an example explained by Madam Elena just now, we can see in the data sheet that she explained that when there's a company that releasing more CO2 emission or using more electricity, the bills of they're paying is way more higher than the bill that paid by the green building of the Greentech that's what we just saw. So that is like a good example that's stating that if we already can bring up a better environmental effect, it can add towards the economy as well. And also the social awareness around the surrounding that this is the positive movement that the field should be taking as. So I think I hope I can be more informative for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hari. So, okay, so I think we already reached 11 a.m. So before we end our forum, so I roundtable. Nabila, if you want to say something before we end our webinar.
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. Izzaz, if you want to say something to your friends or your...
Yeah. So, so to achieve sustainability, we should, it will take a high level of synchronization and coordination between all of us. And also it will need a high level of awareness regarding sustainable in all layers of the civilians. So we should take our own role, take our own parts to spread awareness for to achieve sustainability. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Izzaz. Janshin?
Yes, Doctor. I think that the prevention is better than cure. So to achieve the 3 pillars of environmental, social, and economic, so firstly we have to to use the resource of the environment wisely. So when we focus on environment, we can only focus on economic and also the social. So each and every one of us play the part. So we are important to take actions are very important. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Janshin. We go to Hafiz.
Thank you. In my opinion, for youth, sustainability and also to achieve SDGs is not easy, and it requires a lot of effort to be done. And for youth today, instead of waiting for encouragement from other organization, instead of waiting, you can make one step every day. One step every day, and at last point, you will achieve SDGs. That's all.
Yeah, we with a small step. Okay, Hari?
I just want to state that from where I am from like UKM, we always believe that working together is the way to solve a big problem and make it easier by one step. So there are problems that are very hard, especially when we're talking about SDG, right? Achieving that goal is actually very difficult, and it's not as simple as a one-day work. So I believe that if everyone work together and every youth stop putting aside all the race, about the background, about where they came from, and work together on solving a problem, I believe that we can achieve the SDG easily. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hari. So, Mr. Tan?
Right. Echoing on what Hari first mentioned, would also emphasize on the importance of collaboration. How should we come together and work together? So this BIM provides a good platform for us. And so I come from an organization called Society of Malaysian Medical Association Medical Students, which is a student branch of the Malaysian Medical Association, which is also a member organization of BIM. Right. So, Doctor, if I may just add a little bit more on the question just now on how can we do the 3 pillars, how can we balance it out, is that we can see that they are very interlinked, and sometimes they are not like, if we proceed in one direction, the other one actually, we have to risk the other one. So if, for example, I'm taking the example of health financing here. So in SDG target 3.8, we are supposed to achieve universal health coverage, which means it should be accessible to everyone, which includes financial risk protection. But in 2017, there's a 37% of healthcare expenditure in Malaysia has to be from the patient's pocket. So if we are able to improve that in the economics side of things, we should be able to improve it in the social side of things. So just to show how things are, how closely linked they are. Right, again, to everyone, thank you for inviting me. I hope everyone can work in our different sectors and try to make future more sustainable.
Okay, so I think just last question, but I don't want to at this point Rizan Faiz. He want to continue Alia question. In order to achieve sustainability, what is the best way to balance out of the cost and benefit within the 3 pillars? Anyone? What is the best way to balance out the cost and benefit within the 3 pillars?
Right, Doctor, if I may. So following up on what I've mentioned earlier is that sometimes there might not be a direct say if we want to get benefit in, for example, the environmental sector, and then there will be a cost in the economic sector. Right, so in the long term, eventually, anything that we put in one of these 3 pillars, for example, if we put in the economic sector, you eventually also benefit the environment and the social pillar as well. So this is how close they are linked to each other, and one action will actually link all 3 sectors, all 3 pillars together, I feel. Right.
Yeah. So we this one. Okay. Yeah. Hafiz.
So for the question, in my opinion, sustainability or SDGs is not a short-term solution. It is a long-term solution. So in order to achieve a long-term solution, we of course we will consume a lot of capital at the first, but if we look at the long-term running, so we will get the benefits later on. So maybe it will take about 10 years to get the return of investment. So that's it.
Okay, thank you to all our panelists. So now we end our webinar. Actually, we already reached our 11:14. So hopefully from this webinar, we achieve our expected output from this webinar. We have 3 expected output actually from our webinar. Number 1, we want to strengthen a two-way communication between the panelists and the youth audience. So we have more than 100 audience here. So which help bridge perspective on this environmental issue. So with your point, with your highlight issue and so on from your sectors, I hope that we are strengthened between the two-way communication between the youth, between the BIM, between the adult and so on and so on. So number 2, increase awareness of environmental issue with the participation from wide range of youth. So I hope that this webinar is not end here. So I hope this idea or this forum, you will continue this idea to your university and your faculty and so on to discuss about the importance of SDGs. So number 3, establishment of a long-lasting networking between youth and youth organization that is concerted toward caring for the environment between different professional sectors. So actually, for our professional sector, not only engineering and science and medical part engineering, we have a lot and other professional sectors, other professional sectors. As we know, we have 24 professional bodies under BIM. So this one is just a representative for the sectors, other sectors. But the frame is similar. You need to discuss what your contribute according to your sectors to the environment. So with that, to Nabila from USM, University of Science Malaysia. So we have Izaz for University Technology Malaysia. So we have Janshin from University of Malaya and Mr. Tan Qiyang from University of Malaya. We have Hari from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia and Mr. Hafiz from University Putra Malaysia. So thank you very much for your talk, for your time and for your commitment to our programs. So I would like to thanks to you all today and to your to audience too. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully we see each other for the next webinar session. Inshallah, stay safe and stay healthy. Take care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor, and bye, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone.